Let's take a look at the Reading 12 review questions, the last of the readings from Hobbes's Leviathan. According to Hobbes, in what way can human beings, quote, secure them in such sort as that by their own industry and by the fruits of the earth they may nourish themselves and live contentedly? Let's take a look at the reading. This is in the excerpt from chapter 17 here. And it's this quote about nourishing themselves and living contentedly. He's talking about the conditions under which human life in any sort of civilized or, tolerable way can actually proceed. And how can we do that? Well, to erect a common power. That's the Leviathan. That's government. That's the sovereign. The one that can make law and enforce it. So the only way to do that is to create government, and for Hobbes, that government most essentially, is something powerful enough to keep us all in check and to keep us from invading each other's lives, keep us from misusing each other. Number two, what does Hobbes mean by the expression to bear their person? That is a very, sort of complicated or subtle idea. It comes in that, I believe that also that second section. Right. To bear their person. Let's look at the actual sentence. To appoint one man or assembly of men to bear their person, and everyone to own and acknowledge himself to be author of whatsoever he that so beareth their person shall act or cause to be acted. The idea is that government really is a representative of the will of the people, and that since the people individuals create government, that government serves as a reflection of them. You and I are persons. That is, that we're more than mere animals. We are persons. We have a will, we have an intellect, we have wants and desires, but we also have, we would say, I guess, rights. And our personhood is individual, unique to ourselves, but we can create this artificial person who, when it says bear our person, it really means to stand for our person. That is, let's say when the government, when the state makes a law, it makes a law in everyone's name. So when the state says, you have to pay taxes, income tax, then that's as if we all said that. If the state says that everyone has the right to free speech or something, it's as if we all said that. So bearing your person really means standing for you and really speaking for you as an individual. It's a complicated idea. It is something that's very prominent in Rousseau's social contract, as we'll see, the idea of the general will. Number three, what does Hobbes mean by a commonwealth? Again, let's look at it. It appears down here where he says, this done, the multitude so united in one person is called a commonwealth. This is the generation of that great Leviathan. So a commonwealth is something that's created when the individual wills of all the people unite into one will, one overall will, and that's the state or the sovereignty or the commonwealth. So the commonwealth is really the public authority. Number four, Hobbes says, they that have already instituted a commonwealth, being hereby bound by covenant to own the actions and judgments of one, the actions and judgments of one, cannot lawfully make a new covenant amongst themselves. What are the implications of this? And do you agree with Hobbes on this point? The implications of this are that you can't have a lawful revolution, I think. You cannot dissolve a lawful authority. That is, once the individuals have committed themselves to this covenant that creates the Leviathan, that creates the state, that creates the Commonwealth, you can't go back on it. Now, this is probably the most controversial and, I don't know, to some ears, really distasteful point in Hobbes. That is, that once you've committed to creating a state, you can't dissolve it. We'll see that Locke, in the Second Treatise of Government, just fundamentally disagrees with this. That the individuals always reserve the right to dissolve the government and to create a new one. And we'll see his reasons why. But Hobbes says no. And so asking whether you agree with Hobbes on this point really asks whether you can have a rightful, legitimate revolution, in the sense that whether you think that in a commonwealth, in a republic, in a political community of any kind, that the people retain the right to dissolve and remake their own government. It's actually quite a, I would say, essential point.